Hey, Chamber members, Alan Waters here, your Director of Marketing Communications in the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce and your Words of Wisdom podcast. Today, I'm joined by
Kristin Gallagher.
And Kristin, tell me a little bit about MK Leadership for those that may not have listened to y'all's first episode, just so people are aware.
Yes, so MK Leadership, it's Mike and Kristin Gallagher is what MK stands for. We are a faith-based leadership consulting company. So our big event for the year is our Live to Lead event. So it's a day of growth for the community to come together, learn about ways that you can communicate better, be a stronger leader in your position, just as an individual. It's not even with your title or what your role is in your career. It's really you as an individual in the community. How can you be the best leader for your life and those around you?
And the first time y'all are on, I asked that question of what does success mean to you? The second time I have people on, I always ask, what does failure mean to you?
So failure is interesting because over the past couple years, I've kind of changed my way of viewing failure. Mm-hmm. And now I see failure as just not trying.
Okay.
So as long as you're putting effort in, then I see that as a success. And if maybe you don't reach that goal you were trying to achieve, it's a lesson learned. It's something you can take from it and improve next time.
I like that a lot of our guests, that is the through line. It is that when you stop is when you fail,
Yes.
because failure is a part of, I think, everything we do. I think I've learned more from my failures than I have my successes. So I like that the mindset is to keep going. When it comes to leadership, though, both in your your home life, your work life, when failure starts to creep in, what do you think a strong leader should be looking at, should be doing to prepare themselves for it?
So I think it's that reflection on what did go well, maybe what could have been better, and then communicating that, especially if you're working as a team, getting that feedback from other people, because you can go through the same experience, but everyone's gonna kind of experience it differently and take something different from it. And so seeing it from other people's eyes is a great way to get feedback and see how you can improve for the next time.
And when it comes to leading the team, what is your approach for a leader standpoint when you may be working on a project and it may not be you that's done something wrong, but someone on your team has made an error and it's messed something up? Maybe you've lost a sale. What is your approach to that?
So I've definitely, especially recently on some of the teams I've been working on, I've kind of experienced that. And as the leader, I take full responsibility. I look at it from, well, maybe I didn't communicate my expectations or the client didn't communicate their expectations clearly. And I think a lot of times we assume everyone's thinking the same thing we are. And so it's re-emphasizing, okay, we need to be better about our communication and saying exactly what we're expecting and what we're hearing. That's another thing, is reflecting back. If someone's giving you an ask, reflecting back that ask so that everyone is on that same page.
I was at a conference recently where this is one of the things we talked about pretty heavily, in that leadership means ownership. And it's not just ownership of the good, the bad. It's they use the analogy of the Navy. When you're on a ship, the captain is in charge. They are basically the dictator, the god, the what have you of that ship. Whatever they say is law. But in the same vein, if the captain is asleep, an ensign is charged with driving the ship, and they commit the cardinal sin of running aground, before an investigation is ever launched, the captain's fired and let go immediately, and then they launch because they own that. That is part of their... So that's something I read back in college, The Truth About Employee Engagement, and Patrick Lencioni, and that's something that stuck with me always, is that successes belong to the team, failures belong to the leader.
Yes.
So when you're going from that leadership standpoint, and you do have someone on the team that may have had something go wrong, how do you manage going through that in an educational way? Because I think I've also seen it in past where something goes wrong and the leader may own it, but they still go right to discipline, they go right to yelling. And I don't necessarily think those are the pieces that are always building someone up for success. So how do you manage that, or how do you think others should be looking at managing that to make sure that you are continuously building that team?
Well, I know the first thing is to understand who you're speaking to. And that's something my team's been talking about lately is each individual has a different personality type and a different way of comprehending information. And we're joking that one person on the team, you might be able to yell at them and they'll be like, yep, I screwed up. Sorry, we'll fix it next time. Or another person, you use that same tone and you could completely crush them and they won't be able to get anything done for weeks. And so first, identify who you're talking to. What's their style of leadership? What do they need from you to be a better employee or team member? The second thing I like to do is listen to their side because, again, understanding where they were when they took those actions, made that mistake, maybe forgot to do something, understanding what their thought process was because you can't really fix the problem unless you know what the problem is. So
Right.
identifying where that issue stemmed from and then trying to find that common ground of like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. This is where I'm coming from. This is where we need to meet in the middle and kind of have that conversation as a team to say, how can we improve this for the next time?
I think that the part in that I've always struggled with is feeling like I'm over-explaining sometimes. Steve said this the other day. He was like, you tell on yourself a lot. And I was like, yeah, I do. But I think that's because I'm very quick to go, all right, I made a mistake, I own it and move forward. But I also know that there are some times where it's like I get in the mindset of, am I explaining why or am I trying to make an excuse? And I think that balance is sometimes hard to find because to me, it's just the difference is like owning up to it because it's easy to go, well, this happened. That post that went out the other day, LinkedIn messed up, had an odd thing. And it's like, well, that's not really what happened, but I wasn't willing to take on versus saying, oh, yeah, you're right. I misspelled that. I'll get it corrected moving forward. Which is easier said than done because for LinkedIn and Instagram, you can't just change the picture. You have to delete the whole post. And yet Facebook, you can fix stuff. Which is wild. Instagram and Facebook are owned by the same company. Why do they not follow the same rules? So what have been some of those lessons you've had through your life, through your career of failure to building from it? Is there any moments that jump out to you that you were like, oh, yeah, I really, really got it that time, but because of it, I changed this whole trajectory?
Yeah, I've had a couple where I remember one specifically. And I still look back and I'm like, I'm not sure how I screwed that up. But I was in law enforcement. I was reviewing someone's criminal history. And again, I don't know how I missed it, but I missed something on their criminal history and approved them. And it got caught by someone else. And when they brought it to me, I remember my supervisor was like, the look on your face means I don't need to discipline you because you are disciplining yourself. I felt so guilty for that mistake. And so it does remind me, it comes back in, like this was like over 10 years ago that it happened. But I still think about it when I start to rush through things, that I should slow myself down and pay attention to the details, depending on if it's something as serious as like looking at a criminal history or something of that nature.
Right.
But another one I had where it's just looking back at the situation, I agree that it wasn't handled correctly, but I wasn't talked to from my supervisor until months later in my eval. And that has stuck with me as a leader to make sure that if I have an issue, I am addressing it when it happens, because I was pissed that he waited 6 months to say, well, this was not handled correctly. And I'm like, you never said that in the moment. Like in the moment, I thought we had fixed the solution and we had moved on, but no one brought it up. So then to bring it up later in my evaluation, I was just like, this isn't the time to discipline me on this.
I could have fixed this 6 months ago. I cannot do anything at this point. I think that's a big one as a leader, but also as someone that is an employee, to make sure you're having that open line of communication to say, look, if I've done something wrong, I want to know, because you can't grow, you can't change those things if someone's not making that apparent. When I was volunteering at the Solstice Fest, We were at the tent with the information, and someone came over, and they were like, "Hey, just wanted to let you know the porta potties don't have any of the hand washing station doesn't have any soap." And we were like, "Thank God someone came and said something."
Could you imagine if you got it after the fact?
Right, because like so many people are quick to go on social media and be like, "I can't believe they didn't have any soap." We didn't know until someone
Exactly.
said something. And I think that's also part of it is just being open to say, because proofreading sometimes really gets me, because my eyes will have been on it so many times that I'm like, I did look through, I did proofread, I did try to make that, but sometimes those things slip through because you just need a different set of eyes.
Yeah.
And that's okay. How do you balance those pieces in yourself, or how should people try to balance those pieces in themselves of, I messed up and it's okay, I can move forward, versus like just really being on yourself? Because I think I've had moments of both.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people hold that guilt. And I feel, I don't know if it's because of social media that we're constantly judging others. So then that means we're also judging ourselves. And so it's interesting as you're telling that story, it's making me think of how something I'm trying to do with MK leadership and pass on this message of just starting with kindness, putting yourself in someone else's shoe, and always assume the best. I know I did this. It sounds silly, but when I had to drive into work into DC, the rush hour traffic makes you mad. And it's one of those, like, I understand why there's road rage and people get upset. And then I changed my mindset driving in of like, well, I don't know what that person's going through. Like maybe that person has a sick relative, or they just lost their job, or like always give them the benefit of that. Maybe they're lost. Maybe they're not from this area. And so I try to approach it from that way. And then your porta potty experience, it's the same thing. Like, we're so quick to judge and be angry about things. But why not just go, hey, someone forgot this, and then it's fixed, and then we move on.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. It's kind of, I try to look at it as like, if no one's dying, no one's bleeding, businesses aren't shutting down because of it, we can move on and fix it.
Yeah. And I think that's hard sometimes to even we had a lunch and learn this past week on work-life balance. There's that hardship of saying, this is really important to me at work. Does that mean it's really important? Or does that mean it's just while I'm in this zone, that's the most important thing? There are two examples I've heard of basically the same principle that I've loved. One is Ted Lasso. And if you've not seen Ted Lasso, everyone go watch it. It's so good. But the episode where he talks about be curious, not judgmental.
Yeah.
And I think it's that thing of just very quick to say, oh, this is that. But it's more, like you said, maybe they're going through something. You don't know that mindset. But the other one was, don't assume something is done with malice. Assume something would be done with ignorance. Because we know these things. Like you said earlier, we sometimes assume everyone's thinking like we are. They're not. And sometimes, like, you may go, why didn't you notice this? And it's just fully because someone missed it. Someone didn't think to look there. Someone hasn't gone through your experiences to know, oh, I need to be hypervigilant. So I think those are really hard principles to learn without going through something hurtful, maybe.
Yeah.
Rush hour traffic is a really great example, because I've already said it to my daughter. I'm like, please grow up to drive like your mother and not like your dad, because I am, gosh, I get behind the wheel and suddenly it's like, I hate everybody.
Yeah.
So from that leadership, those experiences, how do you think you're keeping yourself open to the continued evolution in that? Because, like I said, I think sometimes it's hard for us to know, I need to change, I need to shift until something happens. How do you make sure that you are keeping that open mindset?
So I think it's interesting, and it's one of those, I don't know if it's because I moved to the NRV or if I had already embraced this and that's why I was attracted to the NRV, but I feel like I've slowed my minds. Like, I've slowed my mind. I've tried to slow my actions so you're not reactive. And again, being in DC, everyone's so quick. Like, you have to do something immediately. And now I'm taking a moment to think about it, and taking a moment. If I get an email that makes me upset, I'm going to walk away and think about it, and then so I can reply professionally. I think if we just take some more time and get off social media and take a break from all of the constant bombarding of alerts and notifications,
Mm-hmm.
then you can calm your mind and you can respond a little more calmly.
That was another thing that got talked about in that work-life balance workshop, which we use that phrase, but really one of the things we talked about is it's life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Work and life aren't equal parts. Work is a part of life. But we talked about how it's really easy to get in that mindset where you're at work in particular, that an email comes through and you're like, oh, I got to respond to this.
Yes.
And so you're being reactive without even thinking about it. And that doesn't mean reactive in every situation is the exact same. Sometimes it is, okay, I'm angry and reacting. Sometimes it is, I'm running on autopilot and this is what I think I need to do versus, okay, what do I actually need? And I get in that all the time. I hate notification bubbles on my phone.
I've turned them all off.
I have a friend that has 30,000 emails on his phone because he has an email that doesn't work. And I'm like, you got to get rid of it. That's your phone and it's stressing me out.
Yeah.
So I understand those pieces, but as you're the leader, how do you give your team grace to make that shift in their life? Because I feel like sometimes without that mindset of like, hey, this is what I'm going into, it's easy as a team member to think, if I don't do this, I'm going to be in trouble if they're not directly communicating. So how do you as a leader make sure that you're opening that door first and foremost to let them feel the connection enough to talk to you about it?
So the first thing I established this into my work schedule years ago is identifying what the priority is. And I say priority because priority is singular.
Mm-hmm.
I think our culture has created multiple priorities, and that's just silly because you can't focus on multiple things at once. Priority is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So every day I look at what I need to do and I pick that one thing. If I can only get one thing done today, what's the one thing that has to get done that's going to move us forward? And I think I've given my team that grace as well to help identify them. This is what's important for today. This can wait till next week.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do have asks, I give them a timeline of, can you get this to me? Do I need this now? Do I need it later? Do I need it next week, next month?
Right.
I need deadlines, and it
Mm-hmm.
helps me put it on the calendar. And so I try to do that with others as well.
Do you do that in the same way with like your to-do list? Is it broken up that way?
Yep.
How do you, because I think everybody does their to-do list differently. Are you a write it on a physical paper? Are you putting it in a calendar? How is that for you?
I actually carry my paper journal with me everywhere I go. And so I write out my weekly schedule. I usually try and do Sunday night, Monday morning, write out my entire schedule. And then every day I pick, if I can do one thing, it's this. I think I do top 3 because there's so much to do. But I definitely have to look at everything that I would like to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do I need to do? And then if I can only do one, what is
Right.
it? And the other big piece that helps me get my to-do list done is delegating.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm blessed to have Mike as my partner because he's fantastic. When we need to do these 3 things, I don't have the time to do them. I can pass one off to him.
Mm-hmm.
Or a great example, my real estate investing, I have a property manager. And so I realize that I can't do everything with my properties. So I hire someone else to help me take care of it. So it's outsourcing so you can get more done in
Right.
the limited time that you have. And then you can prioritize your time with kids and time with family instead of being on the computer doing work all day long.
How do you reach that moment where you as a leader can say, I need to relinquish control? Because I think that's some of it too.
It's hard.
For me, it's definitely, I'm like, I have all these ideas. I'd love to do all of them, but I don't know that I want to share the control aspect.
Yeah. So you kind of have to pick which pieces you can share and you find the right partner. That's the other thing. Because there are some things, Mike and I joke that there are some things I'm just better at. So I'll give him the things that he's really good at. What's
Right.
his strong suit? And I think you had mentioned, Patrick, before of working genius.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing what your working genius is really helpful in getting things done. And then knowing who's on your team that fills in the gaps of what your frustrations are.
Right.
And that's where I know what my frustrations are. So I pass those off to Mike because luckily those are his geniuses. So we're a good team on that way.
I love that because I talked about that actually in the episode with my wife. And there are some of those that I have a competency in. I'm really good at it, but it doesn't bring me joy. So I do have to like manage and say, all right, after a while, I have to take a break from it, or I'm going to create a frustration.
Yeah.
I'm someone that my to-do list, I break it into, I say I have three notepads. I really have four. I have one that is all of my items. And then I break it into what do I need to do today? What do I need to do this week? And what do I need to do at some point? Because I think, like you said, the prioritizing, the one, what is the word you used? Responsibility is not it. I'm not going to get there.
I can remember.
The one thing that you've got on there that's like, this is the most important, circling through that, because there are so many things that it's quick, like I said earlier, we think it's really important in the moment, but really it can take some time. Rachel and I just had to look at that and say, sometimes when I'm looking at my today list, I also have to prioritize between, this is something that's important, it's going to take me a couple of hours. These are some things that aren't quite as important. I can knock them out quickly, and so I can go ahead and do those and then switch back.
Yes.
Because otherwise, if it takes me longer than I hoped, now my to-do list has gotten longer because now I have other things that still have to get done to get pushed off.
I had that thought watching the conversation you had with Rachel, and I'm the same way, especially as the artistic mindset. I'm not sure how she does things because I would totally get lost in editing if that was
Right.
something I had to do. And so calendar blocking has been a game changer for me. To say that I'd still get lost sometimes, but
Yeah.
to set that I have an hour to work on this, or 2 or 3, whatever you block it, and you have to respect it. Respect your own time so that other people can respect your calendar as well. So if I have 3 hours, if I don't get it done, then I can make a note. Okay, this took me 3 hours, but now I need more. So next time, maybe we need to put more time on the calendar
Right.
for it.
I love the respecting yourself, because I think we're often, again, treating people with kindness. We're often quicker to treat others with kindness than we are ourselves.
Yep.
And that's still so vital, because if you burn yourself out, what are you going to do? I mean, it's not like you can always give yourself a vacation.
Yeah.
I'd love to. If you can pay me to take vacation, hit up the podcast. All right. Before we dive deeper, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment. MK Leadership is an award-winning leadership coaching and training company that is dedicated to equipping leaders with the skills they need to make a difference in their organizations. Their mission is to empower leaders to lead with confidence, influence, and impact. At MK Leadership, they believe that the heart of leadership is serving others first. They provide you with the tools and skills you need to become a values-based servant leader, with comprehensive coaching and training programs designed to help you develop your leadership abilities and propel your business to becoming top performing in your industry. For more information, you can find MK Leadership on LinkedIn or Facebook, as well as the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce Business Directory. Back to the episode. All right, we are back. As we're jumping back in, I want to thank Grand Home Furnishings for providing our furnishings in this room. They're very grand. That's the hokiest way I can say it, but this really helps our sound quality in the room, so thank you, Grand, for doing that. So kind of changing a little bit of gears in that, with Michael as partner, both in business, life, how do you manage some of those pieces where, on a business standpoint, you may not always agree, but you still have to go home and talk to each other and make dinner and those pieces? How do you navigate some of that as a couple in business that might be different from those that are working with strictly a business partner?
I think in a lot of the tasks that we do, we either out loud say it or in our heads we know who the lead is. And so I'd mentioned real estate earlier, and we've gone back and forth of, I had him working as property, like the general manager on a construction site at one point. And then we agreed that because I'm very passionate about how I want things done, I was like, maybe that's not the best agreement. Maybe I should take lead on this. And so we're very verbal and, again, communicating what our expectations are, who's going to be the lead on this event, who's leading, who's going to do which tasks. And so it does kind of go to who's running it. But again, just communicating and trying to see it from both sides.
I mean, communicating to me is, in any relationship, probably the most important thing, and where a lot of stuff goes wrong. But I also think it's sometimes a double-edged sword, because Rachel and I know each other so well that there are some things that it's easy to go, oh, great, we're going to have this divide and it's going to happen. But the other side is sometimes we know each other so well that something that would, to anyone else, not mean as much does mean. So I think we had a pretty big argument over this one time, because I'm very I take myself out of the situation a lot. I like to see things very objectively, and the way I see art is very much the same, because, I mean, my editing style, her editing style, just not the same. And I remember looking at something that she'd done, and I was like, man, I don't like that editing. I don't like how that looks. It's too bright. It's too this. And she got really frustrated because she was like...
You're a little too direct.
Yes. She was like, you're being really mean and direct. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I'm not trying to be.
Yes.
I'm trying to take out that aspect of, this is you and I that have done it, versus what is the audience going to see. And I think we've talked on the podcast with multiple people that I'm someone that just doesn't believe intention matters. I believe it's the perception that matters, because we could all be the most well-intended things in the world and put something out, and if it is very hurtful to someone, or if someone sees it and their perception is completely wrong on it, that's what gets taken away. It's not that, oh, hey, well, I actually just meant this, and it makes everything better. So how do you make sure with your language when you're talking to one another, you keep some of those pieces in mind? Because, like I said, we all know each other's strengths and weaknesses really well. How do you navigate the conversation of, hey, I'm seeing a weakness that you may not be seeing? I think one business partner should have that in general, but like I said, husband and wife, it becomes a little bit more of an intimate conversation. So have you had moments like that? Or if you need to go home and talk about moments like that, how do you kind of approach that?
So again, I've definitely said some things where afterwards I was like, oh, I could have said that better. And I think now I recognize that. And again, knowing how Mike is and how he responds to certain language, I know I need to take a breath. And sometimes I'll even draft out what I need to say. Like, here's some talking points. I always start with, like, the positive. It's that Oreo sandwich, right?
Yeah.
Start with the positive, like, hey, you're really good at this. I'm not sure I agree with this language. Like, again, making it about me and not him. And then trying to understand from both sides how we can fix it.
Yeah. I one of the things at this conference is leaders of the future, that the emotional intelligence is going to be such a vital part, more so than being able to direct tasks, is just navigating the relationships with one another. So I think that really goes hand in hand of just, I've heard from some, it's no longer actually a compliment sandwich. Now it's like compliment, here's the thing, compliment, here's a thing, compliment. Like,
it's like the club. That's what my daughter said the other day. What's in a club sandwich? And that's what I'm picturing now, is like you have multiple layers.
You have to figure it out. But so what is someone, or who is someone that has been a leader in your life that you think did something really, really well that also changed? Because great to talk about failures. And like I said, I think you can learn a lot. But what has been a moment where you saw someone do something and you went, oh, okay.
So I have had a director a couple years ago. I always call him my unicorn boss, because when you read leadership books, he was that person. Like, I didn't think that person existed until I met him. He's just so emotionally intelligent, and he understood people and how to communicate with them. And every time he led a meeting, you felt safe in his discussion. You felt safe to voice your opinion, because he would listen to it, repeat it back to you, and then politely tell you were wrong, and then make you feel good about it in the end. So I've always taken that and kind of wanted to mimic that kind of conversation when I'm talking with people. And
Mm-hmm.
he was also really good at thinking ahead. And so again, as a leader, and this might not apply to everyone's business, but he would go to his management meetings, and then
Mm-hmm.
have to come back and relay to us what he was learning. And he was really good at predicting what questions I was going to have.
Mm.
So he would ask them. So when he came to me, he already had all the answers.
Oh, great.
It wasn't this is just what he said. And then I have follow-up questions, and then he has to figure out, okay, I have to go back now and ask those.
Mm-hmm.
He was already thinking through, what is my team going to ask or need to accomplish this task? I'm going to ask it for them, so that when it was time to pass it on to us, he already had it all there.
Mm-hmm. I love that shows the mindset of I'm leading through the team.
Mm-hmm.
I am their vessel, not the other way around. Because I think I've seen some. I struggle to even call them leaders. I've seen some bad bosses.
Yes.
That it's the opposite structure, where it's these people are here to make my job easier.
Yes.
And make my life better. And I think that's just tough sometimes. We say it in case a lot. Going in with a giving mindset means that eventually it will get back to you. Versus if you're coming in with a getting mindset, you're not looking out for the person sitting next to you. And I think that a good leader is constantly going, what can I do to help you grow, help you go? Steve mentioned it one time with an interview that he was helping someone with. They were concerned because someone came in, was really, really good. And they said, I'm concerned they're always going to be gunning for my job. And Steve told them, good.
Prepare them for
That's
it.
what you want, is
Yes.
someone that sees that succession and sees that long-term piece. Outside of that and the leadership qualities that unicorn boss presented, have been there other moments that whether it be a friend or other relationship that you've seen something they've done that has also gone back and been like, oh, okay, I'm gonna alter some of the things that I'm doing now to kind of fit that in.
I think, especially coming down to the NRV, it's a different business mindset down here. And we might have discussed this on the last time we did the podcast, but it's just, I don't see competition down here. And that was mind-blowing for me. So photographers, I think that's a great example.
Yes.
I know you work well with Christina Rose, and I don't feel like there's a competition between all the photographers in town.
Right.
They collaborate, they support each other. Maybe you're not a good fit, so I'm going to recommend you to another photographer. Same thing with leadership. So when Mike came in talking about MK leadership, we didn't have pushback from the other leader type businesses. It was supportive. It was, how can I help you grow? And here's a great resource, and go join this group. And so I think especially the chamber members and just this whole community is so good at supporting one another. And again, it's, if you support them, it's going to help your business. You're not losing business. Everyone is unique in what they offer. Even if you all offer photography, you offer it in a different way.
Right.
You edit differently. You have a different eye. And so I think that's a fantastic way to really grow as an individual, is to help others.
And I think it comes back to looking at what your market value is, where your market segment is, because yes, we'd all love to walk out and say, everyone can benefit from this. My target audience is everybody. But when your target audience is everybody, your target audience is also nobody.
Yes.
And so looking down and saying, this is who I'm going to work with, because like you said, those that work with Christina, they may end up working with Rachel. They may work with Aspire. They may work with any number. I mean, there are no shortage of photographers
There's so
in
many,
the River Valley.
yes.
But is that something that is going to make them feel good about themselves? It is their style. It's what they need, because so much of really business, I think, is the personality. Like I said, there's so many people that are in leadership. There's so many insurance agents here, bankers, realtors, what have you. It comes down to...
Realtors is another great example.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone does it differently.
Everyone has a different approach, and just being true to yourself ends up meaning you're finding more of those true clients and working together. And yeah, then it's easy to say, this person's not going to be a great fit with me. You should go talk to so-and-so. Or, I'm saying this because it's a real-life example that is popping up a lot recently, specifically for photographers, where people are like, I need someone who'll do this free or cheap. And free and cheap, it's just, when you comment on those things and you say that, you begin to have that appearance of, hey, my business is free or cheap. I think having that value and understanding, sometimes I'm not going to refer you to this person because you're not going to value what they do. Um, I hate
You
to
get
look
what
at
you
it.
pay for.
Right. You get what you pay for. And I think just understanding the professionalism of other people is important too, because I'm not going to walk into a mechanic and say, great, will you do this for exposure? It would be great if you know a mechanic that's going to work for exposure. But it's just valuing those pieces. And unfortunately, I think in the creative world, or even I'd say in the leadership world, in the coaching world, it's quick to undervalue those things that you don't fully understand.
Yeah.
And it goes back to being curious.
Yes.
You know, why does it cost this? Why does it do this? Why does it take that time? Why should I be working with you for more than just this month as a leadership coach to be able to see change? It's not like I'm walking in the first day and suddenly I'm the best leader in the world.
Well, then it also goes back to the individual understanding themselves and what they're actually asking for. So, I think that's where I think I've seen your post about what is affordable, and it really depends on the individual and what you consider quality.
Right.
And I always joke, so there's certain things I will pay high price for. I like wine. I like my hair products. Like there's certain, I'm going to the high priced items because I want the quality. But there are some things it's not as important to me. I'll buy the 99-cent tissues. Not a big deal. I don't need name brand. And so it really depends on the individual. It doesn't make you less. It's just if you don't want the best quality photography and you're okay with a college student who's just building their portfolio and new at editing, then that's your prerogative.
Right.
But yeah, you have to understand what you're looking for and when you're asking for it.
And be able to say it too, because I mean, like I said, affordability, budget, that changes for every person.
Gosh.
I mean, there's some people, I'll point to my wife with the wedding industry. There is a company closer to Northern Virginia that is a full service planning. They have on their website, they don't work with clients unless their budget starts at $75,000, which in my brain fully breaks.
Yes.
But they know who they're working for.
I was going to say, in Northern Virginia, that sounds pretty
right. Some people are like, absolutely, that's what I'm going to
Yep.
spend. And that is perfectly fine. It's that market segmentation, finding where you're going to be. I'm someone, no one's saying anything about it, but like, I don't spend a lot on my clothes. My mindset is, well, as long as they're not holes in it, I'm good. There are some clothes that I wear to the chamber because my shirt's untucked. There's a hole in it and you don't see it. And I'm like, that's fine. As long as it's not visible, we're good. But that's just how I value things. I'll go out and spend a lot of money on a good dinner and make my doctor really mad when I do it. But that's just how I'm wired. It's not wrong for anyone to be a different way. It's just working together with one another and being fine with it.
Yeah.
Any other parting wisdom you'd like to give to people before we start to wrap up?
Something that's been on my heart that I've been talking about lately is we go back to the communication piece, and we're seeing it a lot in Facebook of how can we disagree without arguing. And so I love that you brought up the curiosity, because I think it was Michael Jr. is a comedian who does the same. He spoke at one of our Live to Leads, and it was a similar comment of like, if you can look at everything from curiosity and not immediately want to defend your position, I feel like everyone's so set in their ways lately, and so be more open to what are others saying and what is another angle of how you could view something instead of immediately attacking people.
Right. And I think it's the reactionary piece. And I unfortunately think in the past decade or so many things have happened that we've all become very defensive in general. And so I think there is that navigation of there's a reason someone may feel this way. Now, I am someone, there's certain feelings that I'm like, I'm not going to tolerate it anyway. But there's a good point to say, it's not worth the argument. It's not worth the defensive. It's just going to remove myself from the situation. Social media is just really bad about any of that.
Yeah.
But they also make money on us doing that. I think I've said that on the podcast before. The reason they change the algorithm all the time is because as businesses, we're the product. The audience, the consumers, it's great, but really we're the ones that are spending money on Facebook ads and stuff like that. So the more they can keep us on there, the better off.
Yeah.
I'd launch the next great social media app if I could, but it's just like that. Your values. I don't value money. I'd love to have it.
Yes.
So, well, I think that's great. Keeping that in mind, keeping that collaborative aspect, keeping the communication going. A lot of C words for this episode, but I think that's good.
Yes.
Well, tell everybody where they can find MK Leadership, where they can reach out to you or Michael and kind of talk about what you do and be up to date when you have some of those events going on.
All right. So MK Leadership, you can find us on LinkedIn and on Facebook, just with the simple name MK Leadership. I believe on Facebook, it's at Hoagie's Lead is kind of our tag. And we are working on creating a Live to Lead in the early 2026. So I don't have additional details on those yet, but I will definitely share it with the chamber and on social media when we have that set.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate you talking to us. Thank you, members, for watching along. Please make sure you like, download, follow, subscribe, all the things so that you never miss an episode or any of the other content that we're putting out through the chamber. In the meantime, make sure you go out, invest, connect, engage, and prosper.